Hey, this is Pastor Bunjee Garrett, and I want to take this opportunity to present you with another word of encouragement. Well, it was this past Thursday when someone down at YouTube decided to give me another strike. And the reason why is because, according to them, I had presented medical misinformation last January during the prophecy update that I presented back in the beginning of the year. That's right, my 2022 prophecy update, which has been on YouTube for 10 months now. It was just deleted from YouTube because some genius decided it contained medical misinformation. Well, as a result, the strike caused our channel to be suspended, and we were unable to stream our Sunday morning service from the Calvary South Austin YouTube page. Thankfully for us, this wasn't our first rodeo, and so our media team was ready with another streaming option. And while YouTube offers an appeals process for strikes such as this, well, past experience has proven to us that the fact checkers at YouTube, they won't ever specifically identify the medical misinformation that they're accusing us of, nor have they ever allowed us to edit a video so that we can re-upload something that's more to their liking. Nope. And not only that, but every appeal that we've ever submitted to YouTube regarding these strikes, well, those appeals are quickly dismissed and yet without any proof presented to us from those who have accused us of medical misinformation. And it's for this reason that we've been encouraging our audience here to go subscribe to our Rumble account, where we can, have our videos up there without any editing. Or you can watch the unedited videos at calvarysouthaustin.com. But having said all of this, I was pleasantly surprised to learn that there was at least one reasonable person down there at YouTube who decided that the content of my prophecy update from January did not, in fact, violate the YouTube community guidelines. And so we were finally granted an appeal by our social media overlords. And with that being the case, I'm happy to say that this YouTube video is back online, and I can't help but to wonder, why this decision was made. Why does it seem that they're kind of changing their program? Could it be because of the Texas law? It's Texas law HB 20, which bars social media platforms from acting to block, ban, remove, deplatform, demonetize, deboost, restrict, deny equal access or visibility to, or discriminate against expression. That's right. As you already probably know, this law has been passed. And as a result, big tech companies have argued that this law is unconstitutional. It's unconstitutional. And the reason why is because they believe that their social media platforms should have a First Amendment right not to host speech that they deem objectionable. Now, that's a very interesting argument, especially in light of the fact that the First Amendment actually protects our freedom of speech. And yet they're appealing to our First Amendment rights as the basis for their ability to restrict our First Amendment rights. And in this way, they seem to think that the First Amendment gives them the right to silence the freedom of speech. Now, how twisted is that? How confusing is that? There are people who want to use the First Amendment in order to limit the First Amendment rights of others. It makes no sense. Now, I realize that there are those who will insist that these companies should have the right to regulate what is posted on their pages. And to some degree, I agree. For example, the First Amendment doesn't provide us with the right to engage in libel or slander. The First Amendment doesn't provide us with the right to engage in speech that violates intellectual property laws. The First Amendment does not provide us with the right to engage in fraud or obscene speech. And the First Amendment doesn't provide us with the right to incite violence against others. With all that being the case, these big tech giants, they already have the right, and I would even say the responsibility, to regulate and even remove any illegal content of this nature. And yet social media platforms are filled with posts that include angry progressives calling for violence against conservatives. That's right. When it comes to those who incite violence against conservatives, well, the eye of Sauron seems to be looking elsewhere. Not only that, but when it comes to medical misinformation, the big tech social media platforms are still filled with posts about the safety and effectiveness of the COVID vaccines, which have actually since been proven to be false scientifically. That's right. You can still find videos on social media platforms of Dr. Fauci, Dr. Walensky, Surgeon General Murthy, and even President Biden assuring us that those who will simply receive the COVID vaccines are protected from transmission and can't spread it to others. If the regulators of these social media companies are truly concerned about the spreading of medical misinformation, then why haven't they deleted all of these videos from last year that include our health officials who are assuring us that data from the CDC today suggests that vaccinated people do not carry the virus and don't get sick? This was the statement that the director of the CDC made back in March of 2021. And yeah, this was medical misinformation that went out live on MSNBC, and it's a video clip that can still be found on YouTube. Now, as we consider the constant stream of medical misinformation that has come from the Biden administration, it's important to note that not one of these so-called experts has been deplatformed for the mistakes that they've made along the way. And yet at the same time, there's a long list of medical experts and scientists who have been silenced. They've been shadow banned. They've been shunned from any social media sites. And the reason why is because they dared to challenge the narrative, which continues to be disproved. Thankfully, for those who live here in Texas, we now have the legal grounds to sue large social media platforms for violating the First Amendment rights that every American should be able to enjoy on these social media platforms. With that being the case, I can't help but to wonder if this new law was the reason for why our appeal was just approved. I guess only time will tell, but it's my prayer that this new law here in Texas will pave the way for other states to follow suit, so that we here in America can begin to hold these big tech companies accountable to the constitutional rights that we have here in America. And not only that, but it's also my prayer that more and more Christians will begin to see that our social media accounts are a platform for proclaiming the gospel message of Jesus Christ. You know, post all the pictures of your dessert that you want to post, but really at the end of the day, Christians should see our social media accounts as a place for reaching the lost. One way that we can do this is by simply sharing the link to the prophecy update that I presented back in January. You know, I'm going to include the link to that message in the description of this video because this message focuses in on the evidence that the world is currently being prepared for the rapture of the church and the rise of the Antichrist. This message was clearly disturbing enough to someone down at YouTube that they decided to delete this video from YouTube. And thankfully, because of the appeals process, now that the video is back on YouTube, but knowing that the enemy was trying to remove this message from YouTube, I encourage you to share it. Share it with as many people as possible. I'll remind you that we've been called to be the light of the world, Christian. We've been called to be the light of the world, which is set upon a hill so that the light of the Lord is easily seen in our lives. And with that, I encourage you, let's let the light of the Lord shine forth from our lives, and let's use our social media platforms to spread the good news about Jesus Christ here in these last days. With this as the goal, I encourage every Christian, let's continue to fight the good fight of faith, and all for the glory of God.